Hello and welcome to Career in Economics. Today we are going to look at the three key differences between the economics exam in JAM and the economics exam in GATE, because both of them are going to IIT and the application fees of both of them are same, and from tomorrow we will look for the registration of GATE. On 5th September we have registration for JAM. So while preparing, it is important which application form you should fill up, or where you should register, or where your chances will be higher. Now our topic will be based on three things. Number one is syllabus, because syllabus is very different in GATE and JAM, and that is also for economics it is very different. Then the marks distribution, it is also different. And last, the IITs. So how many IITs you can apply to if you are going to JAM, and how many in GATE, and are they different? So let us come to the first topic, that is syllabus and question paper. Now all we know is that there are three kinds of question which will be asked. So there will be MCQ, there will be MSQ, and there will be NAT, right? And for MCQ we have -1/3 for 1 mark question, -2/3 for 2 mark question. For MCQ, no partial marking. For MSQ, no partial marking. So that means if you miss one of the options, you get 0. But also in these two, that is MSQ and NAT, there is no negative marking. So this much matches for both JAM and GATE, right? So for both JAM and GATE, these are true, but they appear in very different places and from different topics in JAM and in GATE. Okay, so the basic difference is, as you know, that JAM will have economics, if you look into the syllabus, and along with some maths and stats, which are going to be difficult. For GATE, apart from all of this, you have aptitude and you have reading and comprehension. But now we are going to go to the details of the economics syllabus typically, and you will see that there are parts in the syllabus of GATE which are not there in JAM, and there are some parts which are in JAM but not there in GATE. So if you are only applying into one of them, it is very important that you do not overstudy. So here we are. On our left side we have JAM, on the right side we have GATE. We will tabulate basically things which are in GATE and which are in JAM. Only those parts which are not common. So let us start. For example, in GATE there is cardinal approach. So that is in consumer behavior, which is obviously not there in JAM, right? So we are writing only those parts which are specific to JAM and GATE. Okay. Then comes Walrasian and Marshallian stability. Although this is not mentioned in JAM, but we can think that, so we can assume that it is there in JAM. Also in GATE it is typically mentioned. Okay. Then comes theory of agency costs. And then search theory. So theory of searching, or as sometimes we call it, search theory. Okay. Then comes Jorgensen's investment model. Jorgensen's investment model. Now this model is actually quite difficult. In its true shape, it's difficult. So in GATE, this whole model is not there. Only the production function and some very specific parts are there. Okay. Some specific parts. Okay. Here we have a special thing which is ADAS in the open economy. So this is something that is not really common. We have Mundell-Fleming model in the open economy. Now Mundell-Fleming is in both of their syllabus, okay, both in JAM and GATE. But ADAS in the open economy is something different. Mundell-Fleming is ISLM in the open economy, not ADAS. Okay. Then here potential regulation to NBFC. And there are some extra growth models. Now, this is interesting, if you go through the GATE syllabus, you will see that they do not mention growth models in macro. So you may think that growth models are not there, but they are. So growth models are mentioned in development economics. So I am writing this because obviously growth models are there both in JAM and GATE, both in JAM and GATE. Okay, so like Solo model is in both of them, Harrod number is in both of them, but here it doesn't appear as a part of macro. If you look at the syllabus, it appears as a part of development economics. So I just mentioned it, but growth models are also here. So growth models as a part of macro. So what we can expect from this distinction is that in GATE the questions on growth will be less mathematical and more towards the results of the model. So we saw the difference in terms of micro and macro syllabus. Now we will go to statistics. First good news is there is no descriptive statistics in both of them. So no measures of central tendency and all of that. What about the rest? Okay. Central limit theorem, that is CLT, is typically mentioned here. And for JAM we will just assume it, that it is there, because given the level of mathematics or mathematical statistics in JAM, it will not be wise to assume that CLT is outside JAM syllabus. Okay, then comes index number, that is only in GATE. Here you have, for that matter, joint distribution. So joint distribution is in JAM but not in GATE. Okay, and there is also a mention of higher order moments. Now by higher order moments we basically mean skewness, kurtosis at the level of distribution. We said descriptive statistics is not there. So when we are saying higher order moments, that is skewness and kurtosis, we are talking about probability distributions and joint distributions. Okay. Here when it comes to moments, skewness, they ask very basic things. So let us write like basic things on moments. Okay. This syllabus for inference also is much bigger in JAM. So for example, I'll just mention, when it comes to estimation, there is MLE, that is maximum likelihood estimator, and method of moments. Nothing as such is mentioned in GATE. Actually in GATE we can safely assume that problems of estimation is not coming. Then if we talk about hypothesis testing, one sample test is here, one sample tests are there. But here, apart from this, here you have two sample tests. So that means whether two means of distribution, two distributions are equal, or two variances are equal, these kind of things. So 2 sample tests. And here is the interesting part. Now we are going to write about econometrics. This is where it becomes very interesting, because in JAM you have only OLS and CLRM. Nothing else. But here in GATE you have all of them. So you have heteroscedasticity, you have multicollinearity, then autocorrelation, spurious regression, unit roots, which are actually unit roots basically is coming from time series, then simultaneous equation model, simultaneous equations model, and identification problem. So in econometrics there is a huge gap. The important thing is here, since it is only OLS and CLRM, again questions are more problem based, or as we sometimes say numerical or something, or model based actually. Here things are also based on information that you will find in an econometrics book. Okay, so not difficult questions, not outright difficult problems appear here. Comes to the other parts, in GATE international economics is there. So the whole deal of trade theory and all, nothing in JAM. Then comes development economics. So that deal is also not there in JAM. So development economics. Then comes public economics. Now in public economics, things are a little bit interesting, because as you know that taxation is a part of public economics, but it is dealt in much more detail in public eco compared to micro. So in JAM, we will write like taxation comes as a part of micro. Also the problem of externalities and things like that. So also externality like Coase theorem and stuff, externality and asymmetric information and things like that. Okay, so public good. Yes. So they come as a part of micro, not as a part of public economy. So if you pick up a good micro book, whatever you get on externality, public good and taxation is good for JAM. Also, you can now imagine that the question asked will be very different. So when it comes to Indian economy, in 2021, there were only 6 questions asked out of, what is the total number? I think 80 or something, 80 questions. So in 2002, it became 5 questions. In 2023, it became 4 questions. So you can imagine how many questions they will ask on 2024. So whatever may be the syllabus, the concentration, that is the time you must devote to Indian economy, is clear from the number of questions that they are asking. Okay. Now, when it comes to GATE, well, they are far more serious, so we should study accordingly. Okay. So in mathematics, if you look at the syllabus of GATE, there are only 3 lines here. Okay. If you look at the GATE syllabus, there are only 3 lines. And if you look at the JAM syllabus, then this is the syllabus of mathematics. Okay. So it is huge. And that says a lot of the important messages of how these 2 exams are different and how you should prepare. Anyways, but we will make that list so that it becomes clear. So if we talk about linear algebra, in GATE you have basically property based question on matrices. So property based questions on matrices. And then you have Cramer's rule explicitly mentioned. So Cramer's rule. But here in JAM you have almost the complete linear algebra syllabus, like Gauss-Jordan elimination you have, right? Or by which we form the row reduced echelon form. So that much that is there. The eigenvalue eigenvector problems are also there. So eigenvalue eigenvector leading to the quadratic forms. Also there is a connection in between eigenvalue, quadratic form and optimization. So that is also a part of JAM. So this is like serious linear algebra. In GATE you have explicitly mentioned static optimization. Now we do not really do a lot of dynamic optimization in graduation, right? We do very little. Anyways, so what this means basically that the optimization problem, I will say, as part of Mathico. Okay, not like opening a mathematics book per se. Okay, so here I will say that the standard is limited to Chiang or probably Sitzetter Hammond in some parts, some details. But here in optimization, the biggest difference is duality. So you have this envelope theorem and other things, right? So here the standard is Simon and Bloom along with a proper maths book, So being limited to only mathematical economics books is definitely not good enough. Also the syllabus is bigger. There is no mention of duality. Then specific to JAM there is integral calculus. Okay. Again, if we come to differential calculus, let's say, if we come to differential calculus, this syllabus is much detailed in JAM. For example, this mention of implicit function theorem. So implicit function theorem is not there in GATE. Okay, obviously some macro problems will be there, but not typically. Application of this, then you have Taylor's remainder, I think. Okay, and also you have, so that means you have this MVTs, that is mean value theorems. Also you have a little bit of complex number. So here the complex number syllabus is not really huge. It's like the standard of very simple actually. It's standard of your higher secondary. Okay, and then a little bit of number theory. So that by which I mean the divisibility theorems, some part of classical number theory, those kinds. Okay. So as you know, in JAM, in summary, in JAM, economics is much less, mathematics is much higher. That much you can always say. In statistics also, the mathematical statistics part is higher in JAM. So technically speaking, JAM is a more mathematically inclined exam, whereas GATE is more on the side of economics, and that too the theoretical or model based or informative economics, not like a lot of numerical problems. Okay. So in marks distribution, we know that in JAM there will be part A, part B and part C, accordingly divided between MCQ, MSQ and NAT. But for GATE, this is not so, because GATE has questions of GA and then questions of comprehension and then questions of economics. So here the first important thing is NAT, that is numerical questions. NAT appears only in economics. But if you ask where does MCQ or MSQ appears, that is not known. Now, MCQ also has 2 marks question, MSQ also has 2 marks question. So, but MSQ doesn't have 1 mark question, so that's something of an indicator. So, whenever 2 mark questions start, answer carefully. Because while answering a 2 mark question, we do not really know whether we are answering MCQ or MSQ in GATE. Alright. Now we go to the details. So in JAM, MCQ has 10 questions of 1 mark, okay, which will make 10 marks, and 20 questions of 2 mark, so that will make 40 marks. So that means in MCQ you have 30 questions, in total 50 marks. Okay. Now if you move to MSQ, it's pretty simple. In MSQ, as I said, there is no 1 mark question. So 10 questions of 2 mark, which will be 20 marks. Okay. In that, there is a division. So 10 question of 1 mark, that is 10 mark, and 10 question of 2 mark, that is 20 mark. So in that you have 20 questions going for 30 marks. So in total you have 30 and 10, 40 and 20. 60 questions leading to 100 marks. And you have 3 hours to do that. In MCQ, you have this negative marking. In MSQ and that, you don't have that. The interesting part is that if you look at, there are 40 questions of 2 marks and 20 questions of 1 mark. That basically means the paper is biased towards 2 marks question. Okay. Now let us come to GATE. So in GATE, GA, right? So in aptitude, you have 10 questions which are divided between 5 questions of 1 mark. Right in this. So 5 questions of 1 mark, 5, and 5 questions of 2 mark. So that is 10 marks. So if you add them up, it gives the 15 marks that you have in GA. Then the B1, which is reading and comprehension, RLC, which is compulsory. So there you have 16 questions, of which 7 questions of 1 mark, which is 7 marks, and 9 questions of 2 marks, so which is 18 marks. And if you add them up, it becomes 25 marks. Okay, and then you have economics, C1, which is economics. And as I said, the NAT questions appear only in economics. So here you have 39 questions. That's an odd number, right? And it goes to 18 questions of 1 mark, so that is 18 marks, and you have 21 questions of 2 marks, so that is 42 marks. So if we add them up, it becomes 60 marks. So again, in total, and this is typically interesting, so in total, you got your 100 marks. And what is the number question? 28 and 80, that is 39, 16 and 10, right? So 26, 65. So 65 questions, and which leads up to 100 marks. And you have your 3 hour and other things. So as you can see, the distribution is very different and the mark system is also very different. So when you are practicing, keep that this kind of a paper you will get in the hall. If you have watched the earlier videos, then you know that IIT Delhi and IIT Roorkee, they are common for both JAM and GATE. But interestingly, in GATE, there is IIT Madras. And I will share the link of IIT Madras, you will find the details. So in IIT Madras, they will offer you MA in economics, and also there is an option of upgrading to PhD. Okay, so if some of you are trying to go to research, obviously this is a very good chance, right? But IIT Madras only accepts GATE. And as I have said earlier also, that if there is extra seats on offer by Delhi or by Kanpur, as I know, I will let you know. Okay.